All right, good people. We are here at the finish line, the finale episode of Halo. This is episode 8 of season 2, where this episode is titled very much so Halo. We're gonna break it all down because man, was this a crazy episode. I'll go as far as saying like this is one of my favorite episodes this season. Not my favorite. There was definitely some ones that really did some really crazy things. But I mean, at this point now, if you are just a fan of this franchise, this has to be the most Halo of Halo episodes. They hit everything in this,
Yeah.
and so much more to come. I'm already ready for season 3. Let's just start right there really quick. Season 2 now. It's a wrap. We done watched it all. We done covered it all. How did you like this season?
I definitely gotta admit, it was a little shaky because I came in from season 1, and they already no helmet, John, no suit. I felt like they kind of like how they did in season 1, where it was like, all right, we're gonna give you a little bit at a time. Like we didn't really see a lot of Spartans. It wasn't a lot of Covenant action, but it was paced out like, okay, like the last 2 episodes was like, all right, we're gonna put John in the suit, we're gonna fight the Covenant, XYZ. Whereas though this season definitely took its time building up where it was gonna go. And I thought we kind of got lost for a second in the in between the season, where I was just like, all right, what we doing here? But obviously patience pays off, because a lot of everything pretty much gets answered towards like the last couple episodes of the season. I do think the payoff was worth it. I think the overall build between the other Spartans, Kai, Chief, Vanek, all of them, like seeing more of their relationship build throughout the season. Definitely appreciated the seasoning they put towards there. Definitely appreciate them showing how when the UNSC is pretty much done with you, what the other side of the life looks like for Spartan. Like I said, we got so many things that really built the characters up more this season, and it didn't just feel like it was on a roller coaster ride, kind of how the first season felt, where they were kind of building more of the backstory for Chief, and figuring out what made him special, and a lot of what the Spartan program was, and what Halsey's intentions were, stuff like that. Whereas though I felt like this season definitely, like I said, definitely put the season a little bit more on the family of characters, the main Spartans, and the people connected to them as well. But like I said, it was a little shaky, but it definitely 100% paid off once we got to where we were going.
I thought the season was great. I thought that it paced very well. I thought it serviced all fans, except for the folks that just wanted to hate it the entire time. And I even think they had to come to some realization that the show was good. They gave us some good fight scenes. They definitely gave us some very direct parts of the lore. Then they hinted at things, and then they slowly let it develop. They gave us emotion. They gave a lot, even to the point of characters who didn't have much to kind of going for them either last season or even parts of this season. Gave everybody full circle arcs, of full arcs, because the arc isn't a circle, but full circle storytelling, full complete story arcs. So I'm not mad at it at all. I mean, we lost a lot in the season, and that's a thing that as a fan you can personally have a gripe with, but you care, you were invested. Us losing Vanek is definitely going to be something that, like, I think everybody's going to talk about this season in terms of how impactful it was. But I mean, we done lost a lot of folks in this season. But ultimately, having Master Chief really, it almost in a back burner at times, really develop into who we know him to be. The Cortana him synchronization again is a big payoff. The fight between him and Arbiter that we've been waiting for is a big payoff. So I think the season did a very good job in giving us something to look forward to each week, to giving us an amazing payoff by the end of this season, to the point now we're ready to see what we got in store for season 3. So I enjoyed covering this season. I definitely enjoyed everything that occurred. I listen, Kai definitely took me on a roller coaster this entire season. But yeah, I had a good time with this one. I'm definitely looking forward to talking about this one tonight and seeing what they got in store for season 3. But yeah, let's get to it. It's the finale, folks. Here, jump in the comments, let us know some of your favorite scenes right now. Things you liked about this season, things you didn't like. Let us know all those things. Get in the comments right now and let's kick it off. Because yeah, well, So we get John, and I mean, John is clearly having what it appears to be some measure of therapy, because you're having him in a dark room and they're asking a bunch of things, and it's having John really tap into some memories, but also trying to like process his emotions about things and getting the questions about what happened down there. Even the saying of dark places contain dark things. I mean, there's a lot being said. I didn't feel like a need to quote all of the things, but understand that John in the beginning of this episode is having some. It could have appeared to be self-reflection, but we clearly know that he's talking to someone or something yet to be named. Did you know what it was pretty early in this episode?
No. They purposely disguised that. I had no idea. Like I said, I didn't even know where he was. I thought it was a state of unconsciousness that he was in. Maybe he fell, because it was a couple times where he didn't got bumped up. So I thought it was a state of unconsciousness. I had no idea who he was talking to.
I gotta say, I was like, well, who is a male that is like left? And I'm thinking to myself, like, and then the voice started to process a certain way. I would go as far as saying almost robotic at a point. I was like, had a little bit of personality, and I was like, I'm not sure yet, but I'm definitely like the gears were turning. I say at some point I did figure it out, but I didn't realize that what was happening at this point of the episode was actually happening at the end of everything. Right. So this was like a moment of I forget what they call this, but I wouldn't say a flashback of sorts, but obviously the entire episode was a flashback if that's what was happening at the end. So yeah, nonetheless, there's that. So Miranda is looking at through the microscope down to the cellular level, and things are getting interesting down there. And I love how Janine or Jenny, whatever I forgot what her name. I think it's Janine, and she said it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, yeah, because she said her name wasn't something, but it doesn't matter.
She's a liar.
Yeah. But she is fangirling over Miranda, but also kind of disrespectful, talking about, oh, you're Dr. Halsey's daughter. Well, biology is in your strong suit. So I just want to just take a moment of silence for Janine, who's that one person on everybody's job that think they're better than everybody, who has caused more trouble than none by her being extra at this point. Now, we'll save some comments in a second, but Miranda wanting to know by her little device, said, did you touch it? Like, were you here earlier? And she denied it, which the lie detector tells that is a lie. Something happened there, but who knows? But anyway, even Janine, even as a biologist, is aware that more Spartans are being sent, and that is an indication that maybe things ain't doing too good. Also, at the same time, the cell thing is kind of doing some things there. We do now see, and I love how they shot this. It's kind of felt like a soap opera or like a sitcom or sorts, because you had that the music kind of layered in a way, and you just kind of see things kind of happening in the background, like people going about their normal day and duties. And it's interesting because scientists are while yet knowing of what's happening outside, oblivious to what's happening on the outside, because these people are pretty much operating very normal, but there's a threat outside, and then there's a threat inside. Things are about to get crazy for these folks. Meanwhile, we see Janine not looking good. when you saw Janine, and it definitely looked like she had hit a Molly or something because she was sweating, but then she started giving that um I know y'all probably haven't even seen this movie, but it's this horror movie called Fried Berry. She definitely was looking like my man Fried Berry. Y'all gotta watch that film; it's so good. But yeah, we see that there's a level of transformation happening here. I mean, we all know what's coming. But before we get the very brutal death that she turns into this killing machine, and Miranda looking on, Miranda doing her thing still in the lab. When we saw the first death, first of all, let's just start there. Janine taking some type of sharp object and hit my man in the neck. Very brutal scene. What were sort of the thoughts going on in your head? Were you shocked of how brutal it got so quickly? What was some of the things you were thinking about?
Some of the things I was thinking about is, one, how big is this base that this level of information is not spreading quick enough for people to react the way that they were reacting? Like, I'm like, there's got to be, like, we're in a, I'm assuming a very advanced base, cameras, XYZ. You're telling me that there was no automatic shutdown, seal off the room?
Yeah, no level of contamination,
right? Like,
protocol. Yeah.
You know, it just seemed really lax the way it was playing out. Two, the whole zombie trope of somebody's bit, but I don't want to say nothing, or I don't want to, did you touch it? No. Did you touch it? No. I'm asking one more time. Did you touch? No. Okay. Like, what was the point of that? And at the same time, too, Miranda being who she is, if she already suspected that she touched it, why not stop it right then and there? But I guess she was she had her Halsey mindset on, where she was so focused in on the work that everything else around her didn't matter. She was just like, I just need you to leave. And maybe that just slipped through her brain, because even while everything was going on, she still was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep focusing on the work.
Yeah.
It just was weird. But like, yeah, I definitely did not expect them to show this level of visual with this transformation, and Janine, getting what she deserved for that little backhanded comment. But again, it just sucks that Miranda and Halsey then brought back the T-virus, and everybody else got to pay for it. So
yeah. I literally said the same thing. You know what's funny too? Like, I already knew something was coming with Janine. I'm like, man, they're giving her a lot of screen time right now. I was like, yeah, they you know what's funny? They name dropped her, but we don't know who John was talking to in the beginning. That's when I knew something was bad was happening. Because it was like, they kept it very discreet on who John was having this conversation with. But some random scientist, biologist is just there, and she gets the name, she gets the fangirl. Like, we got a lot of things that this episode need to cover, and y'all giving Janine screen time right now. Like, come on now. But that receipt came very quick. That was like one of those CVS receipts, nice and long and extra for no reason, but very much needed for her. Perez and Kai, and it's time. It's all the training and everything. It's time to put it to work. Perez is nervous. She's definitely psyching herself out, and rightfully so, because shit is real out there right now. But anyway, the moment that Kai says, "This is what you train for," and boom. First of all, this scene was shot amazing. Seeing the Spartans ship get hit, floating through space. The calculation of how they were supposed to approach this due to training and all that's just thrown out the window, because it's real. This is the real deal. But I was rooting for Perez, but I gotta tell you, when their ship got hit, I was like, oh, that's a wrap. Listen, the reason why is because I said this show hasn't been faithful to any character.
No.
She could have got right there, and it would have been the wildest ending ever, and I would not have been mad at it at all. I think it would have just been like, yeah, no one's safe. And honestly, if Halo going to continue this for season 3 of introducing characters and them not getting almost like The Walking Dead, where you're just like, You can love this character today. They may be gone tomorrow. I'm not mad at that at all. If you really want to heighten the war, heighten the stakes, you got to do that. I think you do. At this rate now, we realize there's only like 4 or 5 characters that's completely protected, and that's John, McKee, Cortana, if you want to count. Yeah, Cortana, because she presumably died too.
Yeah.
Um, Miranda and Halsey. Oh, and Soren.
Right.
Everybody else is. Oh, and Kwan Ha, because y'all don't remember name her. But everybody else is up for grabs. Hell, Kessler can get it. I don't see Kessler hanging around long.
They definitely went out of their way to give Kwan Ha an extra layer of plot protection in this episode too, just to ensure that nothing happens to her going forward. So if you wanted something happens, sorry, she's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah.
Job security.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Paranowski, and Paranowski's on the intercom. Now listen, this is a measure of karma too, and this is not like she gotta go. Cause she on the intercom talking about something. I'm glad you back with us. And I think I can speak for the UNSC when I say that. Talking to John's like, I'm done taking orders from you. And when John starts to question her sort of logic and mission strategy, he backed her in the corner and says, you already decided who to save and who to sacrifice here, because she wants John to just get to the Halo before the Covenant. But John realizes that the Spartans aren't doing good. Maybe he could intervene. I got to say, and I guess I thought that they did a really good job in really villainizing Paranowski this season.
Oh yeah.
But we'll talk about it in a second why I have a problem with it. But yeah. So Kwan and Soren, Kwan's like, we need to leave this place. She's telling the darkness that's been watching over me my entire life. The monster is real. And he says, I need to get my wife and son, who is locked up because they're in there. Kessler's bothering folks. Hey, this cell block. Wow. Everybody down there. You got Janine. How Janine get put in jail?
Was that her? Oh yeah.
Why they throw her in jail like that? Because she stabbed my man?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't detect something was wrong with her? Y'all thought jail. This is like the black systems in America. Y'all think jail just solved everything. She needed quarantine. The same way that Miranda was able to evaluate Halsey being bit and whatever, and she said, like, I can stop this before it's too late. Y'all should have been having Janine, who was subject 0, in order to figure out the test. I thought there were some brains on this ship. Y'all put her in jail, knowing that there's something wrong with her. She's all these little contortionist movements and something growing out of her. She has a parasite. Y'all know that's not, man. Come on now.
That Ouroboros virus from
yeah, exactly. It's just wild. But yeah, Janine's in jail. Kessler, Lear, even Atkinson. There's some wild names down there. But I will say that Janine down there, who Kessler was assuming that somebody was just sad down there, but like this was the first introduction to me of the makeup folks, the makeup and practical effects folks getting their monies in, because this everything with the flood is completely gross. They did a fantastic job making you feel how yucky, the movements, the noises. They did a really good job in bringing it to life. But this was the first introduction, seeing who they thought was somebody sad and they're not. And the transformation begins. We got Kai in the troops because Kai is letting them know, like, this is the time to fight, did I skip a whole bunch? Oh yeah. I am skipping a little bit of things because a lot of things happen. When everybody got blown up in space, they had to get to the ship. Kai told them where they needed to go in terms of being on the mission. The ship deck was like the what they call it, the not the rendezvous point, but the breach point or whatever, the meeting point where everybody need to go. Kai called out the plan, told everybody to get there. So they get there, and it's and everybody's trying to figure out what to do, because the Spartans,
they off script now. This is
Yeah,
not
they
this is
are.
what they were training for. Was they said there's no way, it's too many variables. It's too. They said that
Exactly.
1,000 times. This was completely untrained for. So it was just like, all right, everybody's going off script trying to figure out what to do and how to adapt to it.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly my point, is that these people were not ready. It's a kind of a lot to kind of make with this here, because Kai is motivating them, telling them it's the time to fight, but these folks aren't ready. So is this a lack of Kai's leadership and training, or was it just not enough prep time because they didn't go through a normal program? Like, who knows? This will definitely be subject to conversation for the UNSC somewhere in the future. But these Spartans, each one of these groups, were basically fed to the sharks, and the Covenant came in and doing what they had to do. Now, listen, when Kai was ordering ammo, and they we are aware that there's backup coming, so we see more of the troops coming, and then we seen the 2024 version of the Independence Day ship come through with the beam, get them out of there. The fleet's destroyed, ammo's not coming. It is looking bad. This show has not been, as I mentioned more times than enough tonight, that this show has not been generous towards keeping our favorites around. Did you think this was Kai's demise right here?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm like, well, again, like you said, everybody's fair game. This is Game of Thrones. Whoever you like could be dead tomorrow.
Yeah.
I thought Vanek was going to be around all season, and they got him episode 2. So it's like, all right, that's where we at. So, I mean, I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. Like, I knew they got in there, like the ship having defenses for them not to be able to get back up, and like it was straight war. And I think they did a really good job of showing the fear, the unpreparedness of the situation, what to do, where's everything going, just seeing Kai take lead, for the first time. You see a lot of scenes where she's just breathing to get control of her situation. You see more of her training to handle these high situations where you see everybody else panicking, freaking out. Oh my God, it looks like Starship Troopers, everybody's getting shot and bit. So you definitely see the difference between the first person view of Kai versus everybody else, versus Perez, which she probably should have held on to that coin. The invulnerability coin, she probably should have held on to that. Definitely worked for Master Chief. So, but
yeah.
But but I thought they did a really good job of, like I said, showing the difference between like the foot soldiers and Kai taking lead, or somebody that had the training versus these ready microwavable soldiers that they got ready in like a day. So
the putties, that's all they were, and Peronowski knew it too. She threw them out there like, all right, bet, another line of putties, throw them out there, and the Covenant out here, the Power Rangers, just serving them up left and right. I agree with your assessment there. I'll keep going. Actually, you bring up the coin, because now John is having a hard time in terms of what he needs to do, because the big mission is definitely to get to the Halo first, but he's grown so much internally about humanity, friendship, and feelings that he is thinking, what could he do that could intervene, that could save the folks and not leave them behind, which is a measure of guilt that he has for some reason that he really shouldn't own. He hasn't really left anybody behind, unless there's something I'm not thinking about right now. But I think he does feel like he needed to be present for his troops at all times. And I think he had Kai, who's kind of disregarded a little bit after Kai sided with Peronowski. But I think he still cares and have respect for her. And I think that this is him picking up the coin. And as I said, the coin was definitely a measure of almost like a funny gag back at him from Perez, but it goes deeper than that, because he does reflect to his conversation with Perez, but then it goes back to the conversations with Halsey and him and flipping the coin, and how he gets the same side of the coin every single time. And this is him channeling those feelings here. But I do think this was great, because it shows the relevance of the coin. It shows the conversation that Perez and him had, a little deeper conversation. And then it kind of shows a measure of like how the coin could be kind of traumatizing to him, but he takes all of this to make the best of it, and realizes that he needs to make a decision he wouldn't normally do. And with that being said, my man, as I've been calling him, the big dog is on the way. Because I love how John pretty much wrote his lines in this episode for you in terms of you have no idea what he can do. And he gets there and it's time for him to throw down.
Yeah.
He had to do what he had to do. But yeah, I love his introduction. I love him coming back. I love how him coming back didn't give like heroes complex. It just came to me like it was the right thing that needed to be done.
Right.
But we'll talk about it in one quick second. McKee and Cortana. This was interesting. First of all, I do not believe Cortana in anything she says to McKee. I feel like she played McKee this entire time.
Simulations already ran.
Already did. And she's talking about she already knew everything that was going to happen. And McKee asking the right questions and, says, what are you going to do and whatnot? But Cortana loyalty is to John one way or another. And while McKee is trying to ensure that he comes, Cortana's not giving the answers because she's not giving no answers about John. I got to say, and tell me if you picked this up. Did you realize that she was avoiding questions about John this entire season? Because it didn't come to me like that.
No, I feel like this is probably the first time they actually drew attention to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not thinking like I don't remember her being evasive to any of his questions in the season, but that would be interesting if that was an element that was occurring this whole time, that McKee asking about John and Cortana was just looking the other way about it,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's a lot that I feel like was left on the cutting board. As far as like piecing together certain scenes, like, giving us a little bit more, but I get it. I mean, we got to cut this down to at least 55 minutes to an hour. There's a lot of stuff that was kind of leading into stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, when did that happen? Or, when did that conversation go down? So I think there was probably a lot more conversations between Cortana and McKee that we didn't get to see because obviously we got so much going on. But no, I honestly can't say that. I mean, we know that Cortana was playing both sides, or she was, she was a double agent at this point. She was working she still worked for the UNSC, but she still has certain programs that, prevent her from doing certain things. And of course, she was made specifically for Master Chief, as we know from season 1. So not that surprising that there would be like some type of fail safe or something like that specifically for the Chief.
I didn't even think that deep. I just think that she just was loyal to Master Chief because they have a bond, and realizing that no one has Master Chief at best interest like her. So I think there is a level of her just as AI caring about him and just want to protect him. But you listen, if you thought that for whatever reason McKee was going to smash Cortana and that was just going to be the end of her, just go home, okay? Because I knew at this very moment while Cortana was looking like she was scared. So no, wait. We already knew that she was going to be uploaded somewhere. I mean, first of all, what I thought was interesting was her saying she had uploaded to the Covenant ship. But weren't you already operating in the UNSC? Wasn't that how you were like getting John through those doors, leading him to his suit? So right. I knew she wasn't gone. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's funny how she tried to play McKee, but whatever. Kyle Perez and guy asking Perez, have you ever fired a plasma rifle? You'll never forget your first time. But like, yeah, Perez kind of beasts up, man. She gets up. I mean, Kai has the plasma rifle. Perez got 2 of the needle guns, going crazy at that. But she gets shot. And now that she's shot, her suit is there's what do you call it? Her suit's not sealed, so that's problematic, whatever the word I'm looking for here. But she said, what can I do? And with that being said, Perez gives Kai the spike, and Kai is like, okay, well, it was always going to be a one-way ticket anyway, so there's that. But looking through the shadows here, and everybody's like, what is that? And Kai is like, he's here. And that's my man, Big Dog Chief out there getting it in. I gotta tell you, this scene was nuts. Seeing him with the energy sword and getting it in, the slaying them left and right, looking like me when I be playing team deathmatch. Just wild out here.
They set it to legendary mode for the Chief on this scene. We just had to come in.
He is the legendary mode. He
Nah,
is.
this was the payoff I think that people been waiting for all season, man. We didn't. I don't want to use the word suffer, but like we didn't have to go through my man. You know, find his powers, get his armor. You know, for this to be a big scene. I definitely appreciate it. And I felt it as you know with the right music and the way this was choreographed. It looked really good. So
Yeah.
it definitely was worth the 8 episodes of build up here.
Yeah. Kai with her dry humor is like, what are you doing here? I thought you had to say humanity, but Chief being back in charge said we gotta steal her suit. And I do love how Kai is questioning the whole Spartan thing because she said we're the last of our kind. Spartans never die, but they do, don't they? But John says not today. I'm not leaving nobody behind. Kai takes the spite and stays behind. So we know Kai is getting ready to do something kind of wild here, but we'll see. Kwan and Soren now. And he says, listen, I told you we got Soren's wanting to know why did they get inside the jail so easy? Everyone's froze. And here we go, because this now is a full-blown sort of just this is our very first full moment of the flood. The transformations are gross, and while Soren is saying that we got to get back to everybody, back to his wife and son, we're seeing that the flood are transforming these humans, and this is like the full display of it. So now that we can really see what they're going to look like on television, we've seen the transformation, seeing it, hearing it, feeling it. What did you think about the first true introduction of the flood, and how it looked?
It's a lot of. I thought it looked really good. In the game, like of course they're kind of just they're there. Like you know what I mean. You don't really get you don't get a lot of backstory of it, and I mean you do get backstory, but not like to this extent of to this show almost makes it seem like would this have happened if Halsey and her daughter hadn't intervened in that scene? Was that always already preordained to happen? Which I wrote down. I was just like, man, if they never went to that planet, would this have sparked off anyway? But no, I thought this looked really good. I mean, obviously, keep it dark, keep it's scary in the dark, whatever. But this is probably I think like I usually see like the flood in like a lot of the Covenant and not humans. So I think this is the first time I've seen this, but like, yeah, they did a really good job, man. I mean, I said they was going to save the budget for these last 2 episodes. They was going to ramp up that budget. I mean, they definitely made good use of it here. Shout out to the CGI department, like you said, and the makeup, and hopefully a lot of prosthetic. But they did a really good job with showing this for the first time.
Yeah, whether it's practical or CGI, I think they just did a really good job either way.
I can really tell, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, because I mean, even thinking forward, like the Arbiter is CGI, but it looks so good that it starts to make you think like, how did they film this? Yeah, and like it was a mocap. There's a lot they could have did, but how did they do it? To me, without researching, I'm happy either way because it just looks good. But so the Covenant did land on the Halo now. And we get Halsey and Peronowski now. They're on the deck together, and Peronowski looking at Halsey saying, what's at stake. Halsey gets on comms, and talking to John, talking about the ship is breaking up that's being pulled into the Halo. But John doesn't care because he's getting to that ship, and Peronowski wants to know why is he trying to get to an unmanned ship, but and she says it's just AI, but it's just it can make another one, but it's just not it's not just empty for him. And Halsey then decides to give John breach points for his best chance. Once again, while John is doing this, that voice from the beginning again. So I'm like, who the hell is this? At this point, I know, but I ain't gonna say it now. I just find like, all right, I figured it out now. Because especially after the Cortana conversation, it really was like, oh, okay. But anyway, Cortana and understanding what Cortana means to him, and basically telling this other voice that she knows me. But anyway, get there. Cortana's in the ship systems. She had nowhere else to go. And basically tells him like, man, you're gonna die. You got 5 seconds to get out of here. But John, being Mr. Know-It-All, this episode's like, you don't know everything. This is the second time of him making people who have making people second guess everything. And he punches the system and loads her up. Soren and Kwan, as they say, Liera and Kessler. Atkinson's right there. I thought this was funny because Atkinson's like, you have a beautiful family. And it's like, oh, he saved her. He saved him. And Soren's like, huh, okay, did you think Soren was going to leave him, or did you think he was going to save him?
Oh, yeah, for sure I thought he was going to leave him, because, I mean, that's his character. I mean, why? But at the same time, he's also a person of honor, so that makes sense as to why he would, not do that. One good deed deserves another. So
yeah,
he wasn't going to do that. I mean, that's just not his character for that particular person. So
yeah. Well, he says, he said.
Hey, no, hold up. One more question to you, real quick, because maybe I'm tripping, maybe I missed it. They locked him up with his gun.
No, he didn't have a gun.
Atkinson had a gun. He definitely shot the.
He got it off one of the guards.
Okay, I was like, okay, did he have that the whole time?
Yeah, no, he didn't have his gun in him. But yeah, Soren says, "Stay where I can see you." John, after his ship is warped into the Halo, he wakes up on the Halo. The ship is crushed in the background. And why he says, "I don't know everything." Well, Cortana says, "Well, I don't know everything. I suggest that we go to that big structure in terms of looking for McKee." And he says, "It's nice to have you back." And she seems happy. And then he gets the energy sword, and we know things are coming. Also, seeing McKee and Arbiter there, and Arbiter gives McKee her flowers by saying, "It is as you foretold." And he says, "Redemption waits." John and Cortana now, and he says Cortana's letting John know, like, everything that you've done has led you to this point. And while that's the case, John, why are you here? And John, in a very militant answer, says, because the fight is here. Anyway, we got Perez on her medical bed because her injury, wants to know where Kai's at. And we see Kai trying to fly the ship, saying, how hard could it be? And yeah, Kai ends up running the ship into the Independence Day one. Yeah. And says, this is going to hurt, and shaking my head. Before I talk about the rest of this, what did you think about Kai sacrificing herself? And do you think Kai's gone for real? They showed the body in space before, but what did you think about her doing this sacrificial destruction move that she did? And yeah, do you think she's done?
No, I don't think she's dead, but I also think that Kai figured out that there was another play, not just what they were simulating to do the entire time with the spike, because we already know the spike was the move that we're gonna overload this joint and blow up everything within 100 miles of space. So I mean, obviously, the only thing they needed to do was take out this big warship, and so she, like I said, she found a different play to do that. When I first saw the scene, I was just like, oh man, dang, I guess that's Kai's redemption for being a snitch throughout season 2, because this entire season seems to be like redemption story, or everybody at some point during the season gets a moment where they get to like redeem themselves for their wrongdoings, by either self-sacrifice or like whatever it is. Atkinson including with the jail scene, which is like, oh, I guess he's cool now. He just found his way into season 3. But yeah. I just thought that, like, again, I don't think Kai's dead, but I don't think we're gonna see her for a while either.
Okay, I mean, a while, like season 3, episode 1, episode 2. What do you think?
Like midway, because it's no longer focused on her anymore. Like as far as like that other Spartan team. So
I don't think she's dead, but I think Perez is going to go after her. That's the thing. Perez gets, once she heals up, she'll go after her, and they'll end up being buddies, whatever it may be. but we'll see. Gotta get to season 3 first. But yeah, with that being said, John looks up in the sky because he knows, but he instantly knows he has to complete the mission here. And with that being said, Peronowski says, like, hey, we got the upper hand, everybody's clapping, but Halsey's also not looking happy because, well, that's one of her kids essentially here. But Miranda and Halsey are, a thing right now, again, looking at the thing and realize that inside that container is a parasite, and inside the container was just a sample of it. And things got wild really quickly, even to the point that Peronowski gets got. Here's my point I was making earlier. Of everything that we got with Peronowski being the villain, I gotta say that her death was lackluster, especially when they had an opportunity to really make this brutal, very gory, a bloodbath. They kind of like treated her like she was in like a mosh pit and everybody was just holding her back. But I mean, like, if you've seen any type of films where, any I could go back to The Walking Dead in terms of series 2, the payoffs for you hating the person for so long, you want to see them get theirs in the worst way.
Right.
So if Vanek got a brutal hero's death, she got this very lackluster, like, oh, they got me. Oh no.
the I Am Legend horde. You know what I mean? Like,
to the point that I'm like, damn it. I will almost go as far as saying Peronowski could be alive, because it was just that lackluster. It was just kind of like, we needed the complete certain death for her, and they really just had her like she was in a mosh pit and they were just holding her back from getting to the front.
I was curious because they also had, like, during her death, they had the scene where she looks at Halsey like almost like it was almost like an understanding or some whatever
ego to me. Ego.
It was just kind of like, again, I talked about redemption. Do you feel like she did what she needed to do? Like, it was no hard feelings, like, you know what I mean? Like, or this, it could have been a different way. She could have
or maybe like a measure of karma where she looks like, listen, my husband had stayed back. You was aware of what happened with that. And like, so I know you're not about to help me because you know what I did. So I think there's a lot of different things you can play into it, but I still think that, like, it was a very lackluster death. It should have been brutal.
I agree. Yeah, the dude that the Janine kill got was more brutal than that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody else getting their necks snapped and everything else. So come on. So,
yeah, exactly. So Soren and them fighting the flood off. Kwan has her back against the wall. Then we get another appearance from the mother and says, I knew you would find me. Kwan, you're the protector. It's all within. It knows you. And while I can't hold him off much longer, it wants you to submit. This is the end. This is the flood. This is the first time the flood name drop of the season, the episode. And it's done very well. I really, 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 really like how they introduced the flood. And I really love this moment of the mother and Kwan Ha, the sort of having these visuals and up close and personal with Kwan, even the actors who are in prosthetics and makeup and that very like chilling feel, eerie feel that's happening around. I mean, they really hyped up the atmospheric horror in this. I thought they did a really good job with everything they did with the flood in this episode. So I'm so on board for next season. I hope they just double down on everything. But Halsey and Miranda, man, because they're having on two different sides of the argument here about if this is a good or bad thing with this parasite. But then, I gotta tell you, this is just the craziest scene of them all. Because when Halsey stopped moving, I was like, "Oh no!" Because she's infected, and I gotta say, a part of me was unexpecting it, but another part of me was just like, "It's been Halo. Of course, she was going to get got." Did you see her getting infected? And at what point did you think it happened?
No, I almost wanted to say that her and my God, what is it, Miranda were. I thought they were like immune because they were like the first ones to touch it. I mean, obviously they would it was in the casing, and before and they opened it inside a safe container. But even still, like she said, it was still traces of it on on it in general. So like I said, I thought they had somewhat of an immunity to it. I thought like Halsey like almost kind of slightly bioengineered herself a little bit to so I didn't think she was even gonna be to got to this point, but I was very surprised that this even happened. Of course, the question is when, because somehow magically you get bit even though the camera shows that you didn't, and there was just no. I'm surprised Miranda
Well,
acted. Huh.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm surprised that Miranda acted as quickly as she did. I mean, like, because we've seen a couple times throughout the season where she's still fighting this like whatever to have this relationship with her mom, who she calls Halsey. You know what I mean? It goes back and forth. So at the same time, too, I also don't hear the sense of responsibility either that they just did this. You know what I mean? Like in this scene, like, yeah, mom's bit. Okay, I gotta we gonna Mr. Freeze her and put her on ice till we figure it out. And then everybody else is like, oh, okay, for science. So so it's
Well,
crazy. I wonder if that'll be a thing that becomes a moral. I'm sorry, like a thing that really beats her like in season 3 is where she's like, man, we did this. Like we brought this back. Our curiosity killed these people. We brought the flood. So again, I you just said Halsey has plot armor, or she's one of the few characters that won't die. I'd be very curious to see how she gets herself out of this situation.
I see this, everything you say. I see it's so totally different. I think Miranda was proven that she is, while Janine or Jenny or whatever tried to like play her smartness, saying that your strong suit ain't biology. She happens to be the only person that actually handled this contamination, something that could be potentially a biohazard, properly. That's why
Right.
she's not bit. Everybody else is acting all reckless, and obviously there's no contingency plan to a bio outbreak. But I mean, like, I think it just proves that she is the person who has the wherewithal, who did handle it right. Thus, she's not bit. Halsey definitely got from that dude that was on top of her. That's when the parasite jumped from one thing to the next, and it got on her neck, and they just didn't show it. That's typically how, go back to The Walking Dead, where somebody stays behind. I mean, yeah, same thing with the air. This is like they didn't show it, but like it's like, oh damn, okay. But again, I think also to your point about Miranda be having the wherewithal, getting her mom frozen. They did have this rocky relationship, but I think they've been on the same page in terms of their relationship, even though they're not on the same page in the terms of science. And I think it will be her goal to be able to up her mom and letting her know that she was able to figure this out and figure out a solution. But I'm gonna tell you right now, that solution's on the Halo. It ain't happening on anything else that they're in. That solution is on the Halo, and
Right.
Spark will have something to do with that, but we'll talk a little bit more in a second there. Um, but yeah, even with that, as I mentioned, and Soren and all them try to leave, Liera is the last person to go out. She stops, and I just said, Liera, please don't do no heroes complex. I'm like, why? What are you doing? Only to find out that she was infected. Said uh she loved both of them, and yeah, that's it. That's the last one for Liera. She's done. And Soren and Kessler, I love how she like now takes accountability for everything that she said. Very brutal to Soren, and now all of a sudden she's reverting back. Like, oh, I didn't mean when I said I didn't want him to be like you. Da 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 da. I wasn't trying to hear none of that. Um, we get into some of the last scenes now. McKee and Arbiter, and then John shows up. And this is the fight that we wanted. And this was a hell of a fight scene. I mean,
Oh,
Arbiter getting the first hand of it, John not being done, even to the point of coming back, getting it in too, and really beating Arbiter down. And Arbiter asking for a honorable death, saying, "In my shame, demon." And he says, "What's a soldier when you when you could no longer fight?" And when McKee tries to translate it, John's like, "I know what he said," and gives him the plasma energy sword, death. I ain't gonna lie, this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, and y'all gonna see it will be me to get killed. But I felt bad for the Arbiter. I felt bad. I thought there was some moment that they could have just reconciled and been friends because he beat him and he's a soldier. And I thought there may be like a code of honor with soldiers, but he was just like, nah. And he killed my man. Honestly, though, his gripe with Arbiter isn't justified because Arbiter didn't kill. I mean, yeah, he didn't kill Vanek.
I don't think. I think it was
Yeah,
a
because I don't think he
completely
would have been
different.
having no gun. Yeah, I don't. I understand his. Honestly, the real reason why John killed him is because of Vanek, and this was the receipt back to Vanek. Maybe
Right.
even to Kai, because he did kind of look up in the sky and realize, like, Kai did what she did. He saw the explosion, but I don't know, man. I just felt a little bad for the Arbiter. I felt like, seeing him get beat like that, seeing his little emotions flowing and
I
McKee
mean,
crying and stuff. I mean, I felt something. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sucker. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely was a back and forth thing because I mean, like you said, he got round one, and then John came and claims round two, and it was just way worse. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is they did a really good job of showing that exchange and not necessarily making it one sided either.
Right.
And I really appreciate, like I said, seeing John in the suit. Like, okay, now we on one, but not. I thought there was a really good job of showing like it didn't look overly CGI'd either. Like it did a really good job with the whole with the lightsaber clash,
Yeah.
the plasma swords. But yeah, man, you were talking about the scene where he's laying on the ground, like, yeah, go ahead and give me my hero's death. Now, my question is to me, did he naturally know that language, or is now Cortana being integrated in his suit, translating that for him? And obviously, we just
I,
can't hear it.
I tell you what, though, I'm glad that they saved off in terms of the John and Cortana like possibilities going forward, because I thought that Cortana probably could have studied Arbiter's fight movements enough that John should have never lost any part of the fight.
Right.
But I love the fact that, like, if this is still something to see for season 3, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. So I'm sure there's gonna be some criticism on that, but yeah, I'm definitely cool with them really giving us a lot of more of what we want coming up in the future, instead of just giving us this all of it right now. You know what I mean? So
I mean, I would say something ridiculous here. Obviously, McKee could not have intervened in that fight because it wouldn't have been honorable to the arbiter. But at the same time,
yeah,
that's
that's why. Nah. Remember, that's why Arbiter killed this man before. Remember? Don't get in
yeah.
his fight.
Like,
So
you could, hey man, hold up, like, help me out
yeah.
here. Like, nothing. Okay, that's all right.
All right, let's get to the last few things. Soren and them leaving. Even Kwan mentioning that the monster's real. I'm sorry, I'm getting my scenes. Yeah. Mentioning the monster's real. Um, we get Miranda putting Halsey in the as you mentioned, the
Mr. Freeze, the
Mr.
Nora Freeze
Freeze
chamber.
container. Yeah, said this will stop the progression. I will bring you back, I promise. We see the debris in space and we see Kai body floating. They definitely showed that with a reason. And then we see McKee and John and McKee saying, listen, man, wherever you go, war will follow. And nothing, there's nothing to be done but start new at this point. And then we start to see things, structures appearing out of the halo. And as you mentioned, this can't be good. As the things are coming up. And then something else, and then and then also something come from the sky. And McKee letting John know, like, I'm a demon too. She touches the system, open up the door. And that definitely was an indication that she realized there's more to come, because and even John acknowledging that the fight doesn't end. But yeah, I think the last bit is John puts his hand on the thing, tells Katana, I'm glad that you're here. Oh, he didn't say that to her. I'm sorry, I'm getting my notes confused. But yeah, John puts his hand on the little pad for the activation, And this is where we see everything that's happened in this conversation in the beginning of this episode, the middle of this episode, and now we have it here at the end where he mentions, the voice mentions, like, I'm glad you're here. And it's been here the entire time waiting to meet you. And now we finally get a depiction of what this voice was. And it happens to be Spark. It seems like it's still voiced by Tim, too. Tim's been the only person to ever voice Spark. But anyway, the last few scenes, I'm sorry, I got a little bit of it confused here. For you, man, the closing moments of this episode, from the John and McKee conversations, from structures of the Halo activating, ultimately, Cortana and John having a moment, but then John and Spark having a moment, and really bringing that all full circles. What's just your thoughts about it all?
My thoughts are more on the timestamps of, okay, how there seems to have been no real sense of urgency. Like we just let McKee walk in there. She did her whole villain speech and walked in. How long was she in there for? Like you said, Spark to have that conversation with her, walk down that hallway? Because from our point of view, it was literally like a second. And she went in there, and then John was like, "All right, I'm coming in next." And then I'm like, "Okay, so she shouldn't be that far behind." Like, what are we missing here? Like, was it a few minutes? Like, was it a few seconds? But I gotta say, man, just the whole thing with McKee, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, or just something like that. She, out of everybody doing like the entire season, I feel like she had the worst character development. Like she really just didn't. We really just didn't get enough to really justify what she was doing. Like, because if the first season, it makes it almost seem like she's being held captive, like she's a slave. This is against her will. To now, this is something that she willingly wants to do. When did I miss that? When did I miss the fact? Oh, I'm like, is this a different McKee? Like, is this a clone? Like, what's going on here? Like, they really don't fill in a lot of blanks as to like what happened with her between A to B, and we never get that resolved. Like, and then again, like I said, her motivations for all of this at this point, obviously wanting to survive. Okay, cool, but now you're following through to help the Covenant. Why? But then she goes to explain, like, nah, I'm gonna kill everybody because that's the only way we're gonna have peace. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? So, but like I said, out of everybody here, like, she's just the worst. But like I said, the only thing I really had issue is just kind of the explanation of time as to, like, okay, how long was she in there for her to have her conversation, and then how long is the conversation between John and him explaining his situation of them both telling him that she's the bad guy. Oh no, he's the bad guy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see.
Everybody gonna need to do something with the flood being on the rise and whatever's happening on the Halo, and John having Cortana now and Spark, and whatever McKee's motivation is going forward. And let's also not forget that, like, the Covenant still exists. They're going to be coming one way or another,
That's just a wild situation. Like I said, I mean, like, and we know we know somehow, somewhere that the flood are gonna get down to the ring. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think we were gonna even get here. I thought they were gonna cut it. I thought they were going, as soon as we saw the ring we got on the planet, they were going to cut off. I didn't think we were going to get any time on the planet whatsoever, or on the ring whatsoever. Yeah. So I am very surprised we got any time on the Halo.
And I love the fact that being on the Halo very much looks like on the game. They nailed the visuals on that. Right. I was like, oh, this feels like a cut scene from the game. So they did a really good job. And I don't know, you all, because we're done now with this episode, you all can let us know your thoughts about this episode, some of your favorite moments, things you didn't like, questions and predictions for season 3. Where are we going to go with this series? Let us know in the comments below. But it's been a complete honor to be with you all this entire season, each and every episode, giving you a recap and review of them. And whenever Halo season 3 decides to return, we'll be back for that as well too. But thank y'all all so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. We'll see y'all back very soon for more Halo content. Thank you for watching, folks.
See you.